From the start of the game, Control feels weird, with the awkward and disjointed conversations between Jessie and something attached to her inside of the Brutalism architecture of the Federal Bureau of Control that feels efficient to the point of making the building feel unwelcoming. The weirdness goes up to another level when you realize how desaturated the normal world is, and the only time colors become vibrant is when Jessie encounters something otherworldly. All of these things complement each other and the weird mysteries of Control. This game likes to throw many different things at Jessie and by extension you, without giving any concrete explanations as to why some of these things exist, who some of these people are, and how any of this is happening, giving answers here and there only to leave another question. But I never got upset at this because of a few key factors, starting with Jessie's characterization. When we meet Jessie, she is experiencing most of these things for the first time, just like we are, being thrust into the position of director as soon as she enters the FBC and realizes that the weird events that happened during her childhood aren't uncommon. Within the confines and confidants of the Federal Bureau of Control, they might as well be commonplace, which helps us relate to her very quickly and frames a lot of these situations as a little unusual rather than extraordinary. With the mystery of her brother's whereabouts and the threat of the hiss taking priority over anything else, it takes Jessie on a journey where she plays red light green light with a sentient traffic light, is forced into a game of hide and seek with a possessed mannequin, and gets sucked into a pocket dimension through a refrigerator, leading to a boss fight with a Lovecraftian monster. These are footnotes in her journey, but these crazy weird experiences are never expanded on aside from some optional documents or occasional comments about how these things might work. However, Jessie never gets anything concrete. But speaking of concrete, let's get into the setting of this game, the oldest house, the base of operations for the Federal Bureau of Control, that deals with anything extraterrestrial, paranormal, extra-dimensional, or just generally weird. The oldest house is a constantly expanding and shifting place that defies the laws of physics that has been molded for the FBC's purposes, resulting in an architectural style of brutalism. This style spawned out of the 1950s following World War II. Brutalism's name originates from the French word béton brut, meaning raw concrete, which we see a lot of within Control. The ironic thing about this design philosophy is that it was supposed to be associated with democracy and egalitarianism, becoming the antithesis of the bourgeois and affluent. Unfortunately, I believe the pioneers of this style forgot that too much of anything risked becoming something else completely, with the transparency, bluntness, and functional design of these buildings being seen by the general public as ambiguous, totalitarian, and dystopian, due to their association with media with bleak settings, like Blade Runner 2049 and Clockwork Orange for example. This aesthetic helps Control's off-putting vibe, with the building being functional to a fault, creating a contrast that helps the extremely unusual things feel even more out of place. And when Jessie finds out that no one knows what the oldest house really is, there is an uneasiness and wonder about what you've stepped into, even if Jessie has moved past it, which is strange within itself. But I believe this is due to the genre of Control, New Weird. New Weird is a genre that emerged in the 1990s and early 2000s that combines fantasy, horror, and sci-fi in a narrative that doesn't follow the conventions of the genres. I believe this quote by the author and professor Robin Ann Reed describes the genre perfectly. New Weird intends to subvert cliches of the fantastic in order to put them to discomforting rather than consoling ends. This explains why there there is no real sense of comfort in Jessie's journey, even as she makes major strides and gets closer to her goals. The answers Jessie gets leads to unbelievable realities, like a helpful janitor possibly being a god, a mirror dimension containing an evil clone, and last but not least, the origin of her power is something completely different than what she thought it was. If these events were in a normal fantasy, horror, or sci-fi story, they would be used to develop the character of Jessie positively. However, they don't visibly affect her or give her any comfort. If anything, these crazy events happening at the FBC are made to seem normal with the constant pace Jessie runs into them at. However, no matter how many side characters or the nonchalant nature of Jessie tries to make us players forget about all of these things, the game itself doesn't. I feel like Remedy wanted the entire game to feel a little off, with Dr. Darling's video recordings showing a man's journey from a very curious, upbeat, and helpful scientist to a man who was broken by what he saw behind the curtain of his own reality. Or the varying accounts of different situations leave a shroud of mystery that doesn't fade away even after completing the main story. At the end of the day, Control has one of the most unique tones that has ever been seen within a video game, using a genre that isn't well known to gamers and the general public to great effect. It creates an atmosphere where the infinite mysteries and questions of this game makes you more uncomfortable as you go deeper, but because of the amazing gameplay and the hope of a definitive answer, you push through that, even though the game shows you the horrible fates of people who get the answers you seek, warning you to stop, because the weird mysteries of Control aren't meant to be understood. Thanks for watching my weird video on Control. I wanted to try something different and push myself with my writing in this video, and I hope I succeeded. But with that being said, if you want to see more video essays like this one on your favorite video games, like, comment, and subscribe with notifications turned on. But with that being said, it has been Skipx and I'm out.